You threw a dead AA battery in the trash this morning, maybe a cracked vape pen, maybe a half-empty can of spray paint, and in about 3 hours a hydraulic machine is going to crush it with 30,000 pounds of force, with no idea what it's about to hit. Most people picture a garbage truck as a rolling dumpster. Stuff goes in, stuff sits there, truck heads to the landfill. But that picture is completely wrong, and the gap between what you think is happening and what's actually happening is a lot more violent than you'd expect. So how does it actually work? Why does it make that noise? How does the driver even know when it's full without ever looking inside? And what happens when that machine crushes something it shouldn't? Here's the thing that changes how you see it. A garbage truck isn't a container. It's a factory, a slow-moving hydraulic factory that never stops processing your trash from the moment it leaves your curb to the moment it gets dumped. The design comes down to where the trash enters, and each type was built for a different world. The rear loader is the original. Workers toss bags, boxes, whatever needs to go in, directly from the back. It handles almost anything because human hands make the judgment call. You'll see these on older routes and tighter streets. The side loader is the modern one-driver setup. A robotic arm extends, grabs your bin, flips it clean and sets it back down, all without the driver leaving the seat. Faster, safer for workers, but it depends on you using the right bin. Wrong container, it gets left behind. The front loader is built for scale. 2 steel forks slide under those giant commercial dumpsters outside restaurants and office buildings, lift the whole thing up and over the cab, and tip the contents straight down in. These bins can weigh hundreds of pounds empty. The truck is built to match. Different entry point, same machine waiting on the other side. Because once your trash drops into the hopper, that open cavity at the loading end, a hydraulic packer blade takes over. This blade cycles back and forth, shoving everything deeper into the main body and compressing it against the wall of waste already packed in there. Cardboard that was full of air collapses flat. Plastic jugs crumple inward. Metal cans get folded like paper. The system repeats every single stop, every house, every bin, every load, until the truck is carrying a solid, dense brick of compacted waste. A full truck holds somewhere between 9 and 10 tons. That's the weight of 2 African elephants packed into a steel box the length of your living room. So the truck fills up, but the driver never looks inside. How do they know when to stop? They feel it. As the load builds, the hydraulic blade has to push harder against more resistance with every cycle. Modern trucks translate that resistance into a pressure reading. When it crosses a set threshold, a light triggers in the cab. Simple signal, clear message, you're done. But experienced drivers rarely need the light. They hear the engine note shift as the hydraulics pull more power. They feel the blades slow mid-cycle, fighting a wall that won't compress any further. The truck tells you if you know how to listen. And that sound, the groan and clunk of the packer blade cycling, is actually telling you a lot more than most people realize. An empty load sounds hollow and fast. The blade sweeps through with almost no resistance, and the hydraulic pump barely has to work. By midday, the cycle slows noticeably. The motor pitches lower. There's a deeper, wetter thud when the blade hits the compacted mass, like pressing your palm against something that used to have air in it and no longer does. Veteran drivers describe it the way a baker knows dough is ready. Not by measuring, but by the pushback. Some say they can tell roughly what neighbourhood the load came from just by how dense it packs. Residential routes with lots of cardboard pack light and airy. Commercial oats with food waste and glass pack hard and fast. The machine has a different voice depending on what it's eaten. That means the driver's job is less about operating a truck and more about managing a process, hour by hour, block by block, load by load. Most routes run 6 or 7 hours with stops every 2 to 4 minutes. That's hundreds of individual lifts in a single shift. Every one of them is a decision point. Does this look right? Does this sound right? Is this bin too heavy for what it should contain? Most of the time, nothing's wrong. But the one time something is, the driver is the only person standing between a mechanical process and a serious problem. You now know exactly how that machine works, but how did it get here? And why has what it's become turned into something a lot more dangerous than anyone expected? That's exactly what we're getting into next. Don't ever try to imagine a world where garbage trucks stop showing up. Just 1 week without collection, and the city you live in would be buried under trash up to your knees. Back in the early 1900s, that problem had no clean solution. Cities were growing fast, and waste had outgrown every truck built to carry it. But the real enemy wasn't weight or quantity, it was air. The trash bag you throw out every morning is mostly empty space. The cardboard box you toss is mostly empty space. Load a truck with loose garbage and you're basically hauling nothing. Engineers figured out the fix wasn't moving trash faster, it was making it smaller first. Crude metal plates, primitive hydraulics, rough machines, but they worked. And over the following decades, those early designs evolved into the precision systems running today, capable of crushing waste down to a quarter of its original size. The truck that rolls past your house every week is the result of over 100 years of solving a problem you never knew existed. Now here's the twist. The most dangerous thing inside that truck isn't the weight, the pressure, or the chemicals. It's what you threw in this morning without thinking. Lithium-ion batteries from phones, laptops, e-cigarettes, power tools end up in household trash every day. When the packer blade crushes one, it doesn't just break. The battery enters thermal runaway, a chain reaction that generates intense heat almost instantly. Inside a body packed with paper, cardboard, and dry plastic, that's enough to turn the truck into a furnace within minutes. But lithium batteries aren't the only thing that shouldn't be in there. That half-empty can of spray paint sitting on your shelf, the one with the nozzle you haven't used in a year, still has propellant gas sealed inside under pressure. When the blade hits it, it doesn't crumple, it pops. Same with small propane canisters from camping stoves, which is the exact opposite of how they should be stored. Garbage truck drivers have a name for it, a hot load, and there's no fire suppression system fast enough to stop it once it starts. The protocol isn't to grab an extinguisher, it's to find an empty parking lot, fast, open the rear doors, and dump the entire burning load onto the pavement. Every ton of it, right there. Because saving a $300,000 machine means making a mess that nobody wants to explain. And what happens after that dump? The driver calls dispatch. Emergency services arrive. The pile of burning waste, now spread across a couple hundred square feet of parking lot, has to be managed on site. Nearby vehicles get evacuated. Air quality teams sometimes get called in if there's black smoke. The driver files a report that gets forwarded to the Waste Management Authority. In some states, a hot load incident triggers an automatic investigation into what caused it, which almost always traces back to the same category: improperly disposed batteries or pressurized containers. The truck is taken out of service for inspection. That route gets covered by a backup vehicle, usually with longer wait times and fewer stops. One bad item in one bin ripples out into an entire day's disruption for an entire neighborhood. This is happening in cities right now, multiple times a week, entirely because of items that should never have gone in the bin. And here's the uncomfortable part. The system that makes all of this dangerous is also the system that makes modern cities work. You can't remove the compression blade without destroying the efficiency that lets one truck cover hundreds of homes in a single shift. You can't slow down the collection cycle without trash piling up at the curb. The risk isn't a design flaw, and it's a trade-off. Engineers knew when they built these machines that compressing unknown contents was inherently unpredictable. They built in pressure limits, safety release valves, driver protocols. But those safeguards were designed for physical stress, not for chemistry. A blade that can handle a car bumper has no way to know the difference between a crushed plastic bottle and a crushed lithium cell. The machine doesn't distinguish. That's always been the job of the person who loaded the bin. Think about that the next time you look at your trash. That old phone battery you taped over and buried under the coffee grounds. The dead vape sitting at the bottom of the bag. The smoke detector you didn't know how to dispose of. Each one of those is a potential hot load waiting for a blade it can't resist. The truck that rolls past your house every week isn't performing the simplest job in the world. It's managing a controlled explosion, stop by stop, powered by hydraulics, pressure sensors, and a driver who's learned to read a machine the way a surgeon reads a patient, by feel, by sound, by years of knowing when something's about to go wrong. Every bin it lifts is a small question. What's actually in there? If there's something you walk past every day and wonder about, drop it in the comments. We read every single one, and the best suggestions make it into future videos. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.